Hello there! This is Oporanthesis, and I'm continuing to review the last Star Wars Rebels episodes. They left a very huge impact on me, and that is why I chose to really speak much about them. The last episodes came out like this week, and I also really enjoyed them, but talking about season 4, episode 11 here, and it's called Doom. So, of course, there will be a lot of spoilers for the episode and other episodes that come before it. So, yeah, that's the warning. Now, let's begin. I consider this episode to be a very filler like episode. It didn't add much to the story, only some little elements. It had a few interesting fights, and also it was just an episode to show how sad the death of Kanan made everyone in the Ghost crew. I think this episode was probably one of the most filler like episodes I've ever seen in Rebels. But I still quite enjoyed it, and overall it was pretty good. So let's start. The episode starts out with the confirmation from one of the Imperial officers that Caleb Dume, aka Kanan Jarrus, has fallen in the battle. Governor Price, trying to destroy the rebels, went to some enormous sacrifices, destroying the entire fuel supply which Admiral Thrawn used for his project, the TIE Defender. Understanding that when Thrawn returns from his meeting with the Emperor on Coruscant, he will be quite pissed off that she did something like that by stopping his entire production, she tries to hide this fact by making a large parade in the city, telling that the rebels have been defeated. That is to basically make everyone forget about the fact that she destroyed the fuel. We then cut back to the crew arriving at their basically hideout on Lothal, where Zeb, and it really hurts my soul when Zeb, not knowing what has happened, greets them with like smiles, and he's like hello, and it's like when they come out and start crying and everyone is so upset, and then Zeb just hugs Ezra when he finds out what happened, and it's just so sad, really, because Kanan, I really grew to like him in the show. The rebels then listened to their Imperial radio, and they hear, as if they were all destroyed, Governor Price puts out a parade. At this time, nobody is really understanding why she did that. I don't think anyone does really care, because they're so sad and they're so angry for Kanan's death, that there's even this line where Sabine basically says, the Empire is gonna have a party. Well, let's add some fireworks to their celebration, like explosions. And basically, Zeb and Sabine just go out into the city to sort of blow something up, and just as an act of revenge, because they're all very mad at this. Ezra is very upset of his master's death. He's sitting in the bushes, on the grass and everything, and then the wolves that we were introduced to earlier in season 4, which have a deep connection to the Force, they basically start chasing him, and I don't know why they were doing that. Probably they were just taking him somewhere, but he, just in a nasty way. I didn't really like those wolves from the start, but they're alright. The episode cuts back to Governor Price's office, where basically she talks to a hologram of Thrawn, explaining that the parade is basically because they destroyed Kanan Jarrus. But Thrawn, of course, is very smart, and he's like, did you really think that holding out a parade will hide the fact that you destroyed my entire fuel supply? And and she's like, oh my god, when he's coming back, oh my god. And well, she doesn't say that, I mean, she's like thinking that. And then Thrawn gives the order to the assassin Rook to basically go against the rebels, because he is smart once again, and he knows that the rebels will try to get revenge. Meanwhile, Hera is hugging the Ghost Crew's favorite droid, Chopper, and she is holding the Calicori, which is basically her family tree. And she talks about, like, why didn't I say that I love him earlier? Like I thought there would be more time. And she understands that Kanan was a very loyal person, and that is why she decides to actually add him to the Calicori, because she knows how he really cared for her. Ezra wakes up in the middle of the night somewhere in a field, and he basically knows that the wolves are basically taking him somewhere. But then he sort of, I don't know, I don't remember, he falls asleep or something, because we cut back to Sabine and Zeb, who set an explosive on one of the roads with the stormtroopers. Meanwhile, Rook is basically checking this road where the stormtroopers were attacked, and this stormtrooper that he is sort of sniffing to get the clues, I think I am willing to bet that he is voiced by the same actor who voices Ezra. I mean, last time I heard the voice of a stormtrooper, and I thought it was Dave Filoni, the director and producer of the show, and it was. So I'm going to check, but I'm really sure because the voice sounds very similar, and I actually thought it was Ezra at first. So basically, Rook is searching everywhere just to find out what the rebels are up to, when the explosive explodes. Rook manages to get away in time, and then there's this hilarious dialogue, I love it, where Zeb is looking and he's like, that thing is very creepy, and he's like, it looks like a baby rancor. That was hilarious. And then Zeb starts walking towards them, and Sabine is like, did it see you? Because Zeb looked at him through the binoculars, and Zeb is like, I don't know, and she's like, just look and see, and he's like, I don't want to. Rook did basically sniff him out, and that's where we cut away before Zeb and Rook's battle begins. We cut back to Ezra waking up in some strange purple skied place, where basically he sees this giant loaf wolf, and Ezra is afraid of him, and he's like, who are you? And the loaf wolf answers, I am Doom. In the previous half of season 4, the loaf wolves were always saying doom, 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 and we always thought it was they meant Caleb Doom, like Kanan's real name, but I think that we thought wrongly. I think that this was the Doom they were talking about, that this was the one they wanted to lead everyone to. I think he's like the leader of the Loaf Wolves, and he's sure creepy in this episode. He talks to Ezra about how Ezra needs to fight against the Empire. In the end, he gives him the stone from the Jedi Temple on Lothal, which In the trailer for season 4, we saw the Mortis arc from the Clone Wars with the father, the daughter, and son. I will go deeper into it in the next review, but basically, I knew right from the very beginning that this stone was somehow connected to the Mortis thing because it was pretty obvious. I'll go into that in the next review. An epic fight starts between Zeb and the assassin Rook. Sabine joins in like in the middle of the battle, and she says like, we won't fight fairly, like 2-on-1, not 1-on-1. And Rook says, me too. And then he puts on this cloaking device, which basically makes him invisible. And then I absolutely love how Sabine, she can see him because she has those scanners on her helmet, but Zeb can't. And basically she throws this bomb with paint all over him to sort of like make him visible because he will be covered in paint. That is something very similar to what the kids did to the monsters in Miss Peregrine's House for Peculiar Children, when the monsters were invisible and they basically threw something, candy floss or something, around them. The same thing here. They beat Rook and make him unconscious. Zeb starts to basically beat the out of Rook, and resulting in Sabine stopping him from killing Rook, since she's like, that's not the way we do it. Well, the thing here is, I mean, they kill a lot of innocent stormtroopers who were brainwashed into working for the Empire and have families of their own, but an assassin who is basically can kill them all and is very loyal to Thrawn and evil, they do not want to kill. I mean, I'm not for killing anyone, but I mean, if they kill stormtroopers, it's like the same thing. Killing, in my point of view, killing is never a good move, but if you did it already, do it like, if you constantly do it on stormtroopers, why not on this thing? They send Rook's unconscious body back to the Empire, and I'll be honest. First, before watching the episode, I just watched this scene and I skipped a lot because I don't really like battles, and I thought that they killed Rook and were sending his dead body, and it's like, I thought, wow, this is good, like this is dark, but it's finally something to show how the rebels are fighting, but it's not really the thing they were going for. Meanwhile, the giant loaf wolf is getting tired of talking to Ezra about how he must fight, and then he gets very angry, and his teeth are like, and he wants to, I think, eat Ezra, and then Ezra wakes up. The stone lies in front of him, but he is back on this, the location where he was starting from, when he was like, in the beginning. The rebels decide that they need to continue their mission, with Ezra telling them that they need to go to the Jedi Temple and that the stone is somehow connected it. This Jedi Temple, as I remind to people who maybe didn't watch season 2 or forgot it, was taken over by the Empire, and Ezra thinks they need to free it. Overall, this episode was alright. 5 out of 10. Enjoy my next review. Thank you. Subscribe to the channel, and may the Force be with you.